Hey, hi. It's me. This is a week later. I would just like to preface this video by saying it's rough. But I'm proud of it, so I don't know, please enjoy. Okay. Hi, my name's Addie. My social security, I'm kidding. Don't give your personal information out on the internet. Okay. So I'm doing this because, well, my mom said it was a good idea, and I'm nothing if not a good daughter. So yeah, it's January 2nd, and I'm deciding to do second chance romance recommendations because I firmly believe that people can change. And with the new year, people are like, new year, new me. I don't believe in that bullshit because change takes time. But I do believe people can change most times. Not everyone can, but a lot of people can. So without further ado, funny thing, I don't have actual books for a solid half of these. So you're just gonna get me talking about them, and if I figure out a way to edit this, I'll put them in. If not, you're just gonna roll with it. But first off, we have Bloody Heart by Sophie Like. It's the fourth, I want to say, book in the Brutal Birthright series, and it's a mafia romance. It's great. And it's Dante and Simone, and you get the first like half of the book is their relationship 9 years ago, and you get to watch them falling in love, and then you jump to the present and shit goes down. That's all I can say. I guess you get there and you're like, what the hell? Like, why would they even do that? It was really good though, and if you read the rest of the series, there's a lot of like hints where it's like, yeah, Dante, you don't talk about Dante's relationship status, so it was good. Next, I do have this book. Next is Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. In this one, it's Tate and Sam, and they meet when Tate's 18 and she goes on a vacation. They meet, they fall in love, and then something happens, and it's like, what the hell? I was pissed when I read it. But it's like, what the hell? And then they're like forced together for something in the present, and you watch them be together. But then it's kind of a shit show, but like, it's a good shit show, you know? I absolutely loved it. I rated that one like 5 stars, but I also love Christina Lauren, so there's that. Then I also have this one, The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I read this one during October. Surprise. And it follows Rise, I probably said his name wrong, but Rise and Vivian, and they're both witches. Well, a witch and a wizard, but and they live in this town that like thrives on magic, and there's a magic college in their town. The place that it takes place in is really cool, like really fucking cool. Anyway, they fell in love in college. They were together. I can't exactly remember what happens, that the whole thing, you know, but something happens. And then they're forced together in the present because the town's, what is it, like the founding thingy, the founding ceremony is coming up, and Rise's family is a part of the people who founded it, so he comes back, and that one was really a shit show. But there's a cool talking cat that was fun. There's a lot of magic, and magic is cool, so yeah. Then we have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I also don't have this book, but I loved this book. It follows Macy and Elliot. They had houses, like vacation houses. Well, Macy's vacation house and Elliot's normal home were right next to each other when they were kids, and so they, from age 10 to like either 16 or 18, they were neighbors and they loved each other, blah blah blah, and they fell in love. And then something really big happens, and I don't even think you know the big thing that happens until, like, literally the end of the book. But, like, it's, it flips chapters, so it's like a past chapter, a present chapter, past, present, past. It's really cool. But, something really big happens, and you're like, oh, shit. And then in the present, though, they're not even forced together in this one. They bump into each other at a coffee shop, I believe, and then Elliot starts pursuing her again because he's in love with her. It's a beautiful story. A beautiful story. I sobbed violently over that book. I read it 2 summers ago, I think. I was tanning when I read it. I remember that much. Next, we have Say You Still Love Me by K.A. Tucker. This one follows Piper and Kyle. I really enjoyed this book. I read it in 8th grade, and I'm a sophomore now, so that was a while ago. But in this one, it follows Kyle and Piper, and they worked together at a summer camp, and that's how they met and how they fell in love. Piper comes from a very wealthy family, so I don't exactly remember why she was sent to the summer camp, but she was sent there and she had to work there. And she met Kyle, and Kyle fell in love. Something happened, and this is another one where you don't know the something that happened until literally the end of the book, and you're like, oh, shit. But something happened, and then they stopped talking. I'm almost positive he was, like, they were forbidden to see each other. Anyway. Oh, and then in the present, what happens is they're forced together because I think Kyle ended up working for her dad, and he's her bodyguard. So it was good. I really liked the summer camp vibe. I went to a summer camp a couple years ago, and I never was the one who fell in love, but my friends every single summer were like, oh my god, I'm in love with him. I did say that too, however, none of them pursued me after camp. But, so yeah, I love, it was a good read, a good summer vibe. K.A. Tucker is brilliant. I'm pretty sure I cried during that book too. I cry during everything, so it's not surprising. But next we have Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. Disclaimer, I read this book a while ago, so I remember very few details, but it's in the name, Second Chance Summer. Pretty much, what's her name? Taylor. I have a sticky note, just an FYI, because I'm scared I'm gonna mess this up, but Taylor is, they had this vacation home again, I think, and it was on a beach, and so something happens in her family, and they go back because they want to all be together and spend a summer together at this beach home that they haven't been to in years. And so they go, they have fun, but what is her name? Taylor hasn't been there in forever, so she goes back and she sees all these people, and one of them is her first crush, whose name is Henry. And so they fall in love again, I think. I don't even know, but I do know that the family dynamic in this book was so extremely beautiful, and like the progression, great book. Anyway, and then we have Roommate by Penelope Ward. I didn't like this book. It was not my favorite. Penelope Ward is not my favorite author. I know a lot of other people have liked this book though, so this one follows Justin and Amelia, and Justin's mom's house was right next to I don't know if it was Justin's mom or Justin's parents. Anyway, Justin's house was right next to Amelia's grandma's house, and so they would play together when they were kids and stuff, and then something happened, and I think it was Amelia who never went back because it happened with her mom, and so Amelia never went back, and Justin just stopped talking. I don't know, but they were kids when it happened, and they stopped, like, talking to each other. My legs hurt. They stopped talking to each other. And then her grandma dies, and she inherits this house that she has to share with none other than Justin. And so I think this book takes place over 2 summers. I want to say 2 summers. And it's kind of weird because, like, the timing doesn't really work out, but, like, they become friends. It's kind of like, I don't know if they were lovers when they were kids, but friends / lovers to strangers to enemies to friends to lovers. It was very confusing. It really was not my favorite book. Okay, and then another one that I have that I'm gonna go with is A Second Chance Romance. Is this book. I got it for Christmas. I haven't read it yet. But it says Graham Wyatt is 6'2", of muscled, tattooed, angsty alpha male. Don't forget that man bun. But sorry, ladies, he's a one-woman man. Specifically, Mackenzie Thatcher, the love of his life, whose heart he broke 5 years ago. Now that he's out of prison, yes, prison, it's a long story, he's back to redeem himself and prove he's reformed his bad boy ways, so she'll give him a second chance. And then it says, Mackenzie Thatcher has vowed off love forever. She's already experienced excruciating heartbreak, and she has no intention of ever getting near that particular fire again, especially with the very man who burned her in the first place. She's perfectly content being a badass, independent woman, thank you very much. That is, until seeing Graham again stirs up feelings that she didn't know what to do with. Besides a little quality time with her B.O.B. She won't be able to... Oh, she won't give in easily, but he isn't afraid to play a little dirty. Like that one time he showed up to her yoga class and took off his shirt. Graham is determined to do whatever it takes to win her back, even when some drug-dealing demons from his past show up and threaten the progress he's starting to make. Can Graham keep from repeating his past mistakes and earn a second chance with the woman he loves? I'm almost positive I saw this on Steph Boher's channel, because I see everything on Steph Boher's channel. I'm in love with her. That's a joke. But I'm very excited to read that one. I love a good X story. Okay, now we're moving on to my honorable mentions, because I don't know whether or not they count as second chance romances, but, like, again, honorable mentions. So first, we have the I Need You duology. It's I Need You to Love Me, I Need You to Hate Me, I Need You to Love Me, and then there's a third one coming out this year. It better be this year. But in these ones, Calla and Ace meet at college. Calla hates Ace. No, Ace hates Calla. There's a lot of angst. But they fall in love, and then something happens, and that's all in the first book. And at the end of the first book is when the something happens, and you're like, oh my god. And then in the second book, which is thick as fuck, I loved it. In the second book, it's been 6 years since they last saw each other. And so they both graduated college, and they're doing their things in the adult world, and they bump into each other again. And then at the end of that book, something big happens again, and you're like, what the hell? Can we just catch a break? You never catch a break, just an FYI, it doesn't happen. I loved those books though, and they started on Wattpad, so that gives me more love for them because I love that app. Okay, next we have Maddest Obsession. I love this book. I love this book. Again, I don't know if this one counts because you get past POVs where Christian and Gianna are thrown into situations, but like for most of it, Gianna's married. She's had like 3 husbands, but they have a history together, and that's what makes this book so much better, because then when it's the present, you're like, oh my god, like, oh my god. This book has a special place in my heart forever. Okay, next, People We Meet on Vacation. Again, don't know if this counts, but again, you get the past POVs, and it's friends to lovers. I loved this book. A lot of people didn't like it, but I loved it, and it follows Alex and Poppy. They met through a rideshare one summer. They had to, they were going home from college, and it turns out they're from the same town, but they went to different schools and stuff, so they didn't know each other until college. And they have to share a ride home, and then that turns into a friendship, and then every year they go on a vacation until something happens, and then they stop talking. But then they pick up again, and I don't really remember why they picked up again, but it was beautiful. You get past POVs, it goes past and then present, past and then present. So, it's beautiful. I loved that book. And then we have All the Little Lights by Jamie McGuire. And this one follows Elliot and Catherine. They met one summer. Elliot's grandma? Elliot's grandma lived across the street from Catherine. And so when they were kids, they became friends. And then something happened. I think it was on Elliot's side of the family. And I think his mom and grandma had a falling out or some shit. And then Elliot didn't come back until high school. And by this point, Catherine, a lot of shit had gone down in her family. Like, she's kind of the town outcast. She's definitely the class outcast. So Elliot gets back and he's like, Catherine, I'm in love with you. And she's like, no, you can't be in love with me. I have too much shit going on. And then they conquer. I love this book. I love all books, but I love this book a lot. The whole time you're like, what the fuck? And then you figure out what the fuck and you're like, what the fuck? But it was good, and there's a lot of aspects. I can't say what the aspects are without spoiling it, but there's a lot of aspects that I've never really seen talked about in books before. And there's a lot of mental health stuff. And then another one of the things that I love is Elliot is Native American. And so, okay, I don't love this, but I like the way that the author took it on. Elliot's Native American and Catherine's the outcast. So, like, Elliot gets teased for being Native American. They live in Texas, so take that into consideration, because we know it's fucked up, but it's Texas. If you're watching this and you live in Texas. Anyway, and then Elliot gets teased, so Catherine tries to stop them teasing him, and then Catherine gets teased because she's the outcast, and Elliot tries to stop them from teasing her, and it's beautiful. I loved it. And then we have The Light We Lost by Jill Santopoli. This book made me sob violently. It did. I'm not gonna lie to you. It follows Lucy and Gabe. They met in college. They kind of trauma bonded. I call that trauma bonding. They met in college and they kind of kept in touch throughout the years, but the timing for them never lined up. And then, so you get like past and then present, and then you get to them in the present and you're like, what the fuck? And then something happens and you want to die. I loved it though. Like, I loved it. It was so good. I think I learned a lot about myself through this book. Because it was more about friendship. I think personally, I'm taking it as it was more about friendship, but I think the character learned a lot about herself. And through that, you like, obviously you go through what they're going through, so you're like, wow. I don't know. It was beautiful. I love that one. Okay, hi, I'm editing, and I would just like to say that The Light We Lost is a very good book. However, I don't even know what that whole little spiel was. I'm pretty sure that was just me trying to make myself feel better about crying over it. Highly recommend it still though. And then the last one is Where She Went by Gail Forman. The first one, it's a 2-book series technically. The first one's called If I Stay by Gail Forman, and that one, this is why I don't know if it counts, because it's the first book and then something happens and then the second book. But the first book it follows Mia, and something happens to her and her family, and then she has to make a decision on what to do, and through that decision she ends up there's a word for it, estranged. Yes, that's it. from her boyfriend Adam. So in the second book where she went, it follows Adam. I'm almost positive the whole entire thing's from Adam's point of view. And it's him going out into the world and finding Mia again. And it's beautiful. That the first book made me sob violently. I'm gonna say that a lot in these videos, just an FYI, because I sob violently quite frequently. But I loved this book. It portrayed anxiety really well. This man is a pop star, so it was like he was popping pills like a rock star. But it's a lot about love, and I love love. So yeah, that's it for my second chance romance books. I hope you all enjoyed. I know that this is probably extremely terrible, but I really enjoyed making this video and talking to my phone while doing it. So, yeah. A friendly reminder that through these books, like the reason I chose these books and I decided to do it today and like now at the start of the new year is because change takes time. In all of these books, the one thing that they have in common is there's a period of time that passes between when they got together and when they come back together. Change is something that is achievable and something that is actually freaking cool. And I think my favorite part is the fact that you get to see the past too, because we are all products of our past. And something about these books that is freaking fantastic is none of the characters become prisoners to it, because that's something that everyone does, I think, at least once in our lifetimes, and it's not something that we have to do. Our past makes us who we are, but it doesn't need to dictate who we are. Like, it shapes us, there we go, but it doesn't need to dictate who we are in the future. We can learn from our past, and that's why we study history, is to learn from it. So, yeah. I hope you all enjoyed. Sorry about that little blab there. But have a safe and happy new year, and I don't know, be yourself.